Those of you who know me know that I love taking chances and doing things I've never done before live on camera, just so you can see what I experience when I try it for the first time. And today, what I'm going to do on this episode of On the Mend is try to fix what I somehow did to the shoulder of one of my favorite summer and springtime sweaters. Ugh, it's really quite something. And I'm not a knitter. I'm not quite sure how this is going to work out, or if I'm going to be able to make this be undetectable to the average person looking at me just as a person, not as a person with a sweater with a hole in the shoulder. So my expectations are not as high as they normally would be, but this is worth fighting for because I just absolutely love it. It goes with just about any color outfit that I want. Knowing that if I put knit underneath a presser foot and the feed dogs are pulling against the pressure applied by a presser foot, that this sweater is just going to be like dough on my table and spread out and become impossible to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Octi-HOOPS. And this is one of my products that comes packaged like you see here. And in the package, it comes with handles, some stabilizer that's attached to it, which I have a roll of here. And we have these that come in various sizes because you receive 3 different size frames, as you see here. These 3 different size frames, you could get a specific size stabilizer for each frame, or you can go ahead and get a stabilizer that it fits the largest frame and then use that for all 3 sizes of frames. This is a very small area that needs to be repaired, so I'm likely to be okay with using the smallest of the 3 frames because the damaged area is only about the size of my thumb. To get prepared, you simply draw a line around the hoop onto the stabilizer using whichever pin you like to use. You can also place this on a mat and use a rotary cutter and cut around. Using your paper scissors, just cut around that line. And even though there is paper, it's on the opposite side of the real stabilizer, which is actually polyester fabric that is not woven. And this is our trade secret material. Always be sure to look for the frog on the label so you know you're getting the Creative Feet brand, which was invented by my father. My father was the inventor of the Hoop It All embroidery hoop system. If any of you are familiar with that, you know how wonderful that product was. The Octi-HOOPS use a similar science, which is to, instead of hooping a fabric into 2 rings like this, we're going to attach this adhesive back tearaway stabilizer to the frame itself and then make it really tight or taut so that then we can lay anything on top of it and the garment does not have to be placed inside of a hoop or stretched within 2 rings. To do this, you just peel back the release liner on the stabilizer and then attach this to the frame. And then just peel that release liner off and continue stretching and adhering the stabilizer to all 8 sides of the frame. You're able to peel it up again and stretch it out until you get it so taut that there's no wrinkles around the inner perimeter of the frame and until it sounds like a drum. Cut through, creating the hole as close to the size of the damaged area as possible, because then you have a lot of area to hold the sweater down as you sew. Place that damaged area into the hole. Make sure that you can see a little bit of the undamaged area, so I need to make that a little bit bigger. Your goal is to make sure that you don't stitch on the actual stabilizer. And you just lay that right down like that. You know the hole is in the hole. Then you can just press that down and see how nice and secure those stitches are there. And now we're going to go ahead and put it underneath the sewing machine needle and figure out if I can do it with a foot or without a foot. I have an idea that I'm not going to need a presser foot at all. And if you've not sewn without a foot at all, know that just don't tell your sewing machine you're doing it and you can get away with it. If you have a sewing machine that does embroidery, you want to make sure that you just select a straight stitch and don't tell it you're doing free motion, because it'll require you put on a free motion foot. Sometimes we just don't have to tell our sewing machines what we're up to. If you haven't watched the episode where I fix the hem of a brown sweater, be sure to check out the rest of my episodes on my On the Mend playlist within my YouTube channel. And I'm using the same threads that I did in that lesson, which is because they're both sweaters. They both have a cotton feeling to them. So I want to have a thread that kind of looks like cotton, but cotton's weak. So I'm going to use a polyester. The polyester I'm using for this lesson is the Invasifil 100 weight polyester thread in the needle and the lingerie thread in the bobbin. Lingerie thread is a stretchy nylon thread that is super strong and stretchy, so we're less likely to have breaking fibers if we have it at least in the bobbin. You only need it in white and black, and it blends in with colors, kind of hides inside the fibers and nobody can tell that it's in there. But you get the benefit of a really stretchy, strong thread that pulls and makes sure your bobbin thread doesn't come up to the top, that also has stretch even if it's a straight stitch. And we're going to use a straight stitch also on this. Straight stitches aren't stretchy, but with stretchy thread, at least in the bobbin, it is going to be a lot stretchier. And now I'm going to remove the presser foot from the sewing machine and continue by also removing the sewing machine's snap-on apparatus or snap-on adapter, whatever you'd like to call it. And make sure you put this somewhere safe so that you know where it is and you're not looking around for it going, now I can't sew with any feet. And take the hoop and slide it up and below the sewing machine needle. This is your last chance now to see, are you within the white stabilizer? Or is the hole of the sweater in the hole of the stabilizer in so that you're not at risk of stitching onto the white stabilizer? If so, then you're good to go. And you're going to take one of the handles that comes with the kit and insert it into the hole that allows you to rest your hand and then enables you to write or draw with the hoop. See how the whole fabric moves together? Isn't that amazing? So you can rest and draw color with your sewing machine, which are other episodes you'll see within my YouTube channel where I embroider and also do free motion quilting and thread play is what I call that. But back to what we're working on today, which is saving some money in this inflationary time. The first thing I want to do is I want to start on the edge where it's connected. There is a particular pattern here. They're like little boxes. So if I can find one box, get to the box that's closest to being a solid line and start there. That's the sound of my sewing machine telling me that I did not lower the foot that isn't on. But you still need to lower that foot. And then we're going to hold on to the needle thread and bring the bobbin thread up through the sweater so that I have a handle on it. And then take your finger and push down on those threads for the first couple stitches. And we're using a straight stitch. That is the settings, just straight stitch. The feed dogs are up and they shouldn't interfere with this. I'm going to go all the way to the shoulder here. And now going over the stitches that are still kind of a box. And it looks like I need to lower my tension because you can see the fibers kind of lifting up. So if the fiber is moving like that, tells me my needle tension is a little too tight. And this is also when you want to stop and take the threads that you've been holding on to and cut them so that you're not distracted by holding on to them as you sew. As I'm sewing, I'm also putting my hand right here on the sewing machine and resting my elbows on the table. I also have elbow pillows, a pattern inside of my community tab, inside of the YouTube channel, and also inside of createwithclarerowley.com. You'll find the links to these things in the description below the video. And now I'm going to go ahead and continue and show you how the magic happens with this process. It looks like chaos. And remember, I've never done it to this extent where fibers are so a mess. But I'm pretty sure this is going to turn out good enough to wear. You can kind of see where this would be going up there. So I'm going to come down and you can see I'm going right through the hole where there's nothing at all. And I am the stitch length. So if you've ever tried to sew something and you couldn't get it to work with a presser foot, no matter how hard you tried, now you know that the Octi-HOOPS kind of make your sewing machine have an invisible, imaginary, magical foot. What you see me doing now is moving the hoop in a zigzag motion to bring those fibers together. I'm just guessing at how this is all going to be or where I need to stitch, but still trying to look at the fibers pattern, that square that's already present. And I'm using a brown thread in the needle and the black lingerie thread in the bobbin. This is where it's starting to fall apart. So I'm going to go up here and just moving my fingers like I'm writing on a piece of paper to follow that design. Here we got a bunch of, ugh. But if I can get them to not be fluffy and sticking out, it can be less noticeable. I want to get that open look, so I'm going to force these fibers to spread apart by gathering them up with a zigzag motion and bringing them together. Is it getting harder and harder to tell there's an issue here? And I feel like, oops, I went onto the white. That's all right. I'm going to just have to tear those stitches out. A straight stitch is kind of like tying a knot. So as long as my stitch is up here where the sweater is, I should be okay. Adding more threads across the squares that are right next to the damaged area will give them more strength, and I hope I'm going to catch the ends that were likely to fray if I hadn't gone back over them a little bit. Here's where I feel like there should be more openness. Now up here, I'm going to go up and down because that's how the sweater pattern is. Not too much, not embroidery. We're just anchoring all the loose ends to the area that's still knitted well. I'm also running the machine at a slow speed. If you have a speed control on your machine, you can reduce your speed by about 30%, and then you won't feel that fear of the machine running away from you, like riding on a horse and all of a sudden it takes off. Now I'm going to go ahead and just cut the thread, take it off the machine, and this is the area that was a hole. Set it down and just kind of pull back in towards the center. And the sweater will come off of the stabilizer. You just need to know the tricks of the trade. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button if you've yet to subscribe to my channel. I sure hope you'll do so today. And you might also enjoy joining my school, createwithclarerowley.com. The links for the information on the products you've seen during this video and for how to get to my school can be found in the show notes. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.